Well, we are Jim and Bonnie Beaversdorf. We were at St. Luke in 1995 to the year 2000. We were happy to be there. We were there for the 150th anniversary, blessed to be a blessing. And now you have your 175th anniversary. What a joy it is to see the work of the Lord continue. But we are separated by miles and years of experience because we've been here now. Yet we have a unity in faith and in history and in heritage. As Paul says, we have one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of us all who made us. And what a gift it is that we have that unity in a world that wants to go its own way individually all the time. I was the third associate pastor with Pastor Barry. We lived across the street from the church entrance and the older former teacherage of Teacher and Nickel. We had our fourth and youngest son with us at the time, Melvin. He was at Knock, and then in the St. Luke's youth group under Mark Willard, who was installed the same day I was in August of 1995. We really appreciated the Christian faith, the caring of one another, and the commitment to the Christian education at St. Luke's, and the willingness of members to be in ministry. I was, after 25 years of being a solo pastor in small congregations and in the mission field, it was challenging to be part of a team ministry, but it was invigorating. With Pastor Barry, teaching Bible classes, some confirmation classes, some preaching. Worked with Stephen Ministry with Karen Casey as a head leader. The visitation of shut-ins and members in area hospitals of Butler, Katanning, Allegheny Valley, and Pittsburgh kept me on the move. It was a policy at the time to do pre-marriage sessions for all the couples willing to be married at St. Luke. And I did all the pre-marriage sessions except the final one for the marriage service. And one of the highlights was working with the building committee as we planned for the expansion of the school, and inviting Bill Gillespie to be the one who will be leading that, and he did. And that was completed after we left, but we've come to see it since that time. So that's my brief and short summary. My wife would like to have a few words also.
Hello, friends at St. Luke. Those were just some wonderful 5.5 years that we spent there. We grew in our faith. We grew in leadership, learned so many things from Pastor Caroline. And I appreciate working with the school. Mr. Wilt was a wonderful leader and mentor, and I learned so much from people like Mary Jane Montag, Andy Carolinen, Brenda Fett, and Cindy Wilt. They were a blessing to my life. I also enjoyed senior adult ministry, having some luncheons for some of the older people. That was a fun time. And playing the organ was a real blessing for us. Some of you remember our youngest son, Melvin. He's now a Lutheran school teacher near Milwaukee. He teaches 3rd and 4th grade and has had 5 of his 8 children come through his class. So it's just wonderful to see how they also are growing in their faith. Now in retirement, I enjoy making quilts for refugees through Lutheran World Relief. We have a quilting group, and also I have attend and lead some of the several Zoom Bible classes each week.
And since we moved here, I was not a full-time pastor. Bonnie was a full-time worker. I followed her this time in ministry, but I did serve 2 congregations as part-time pastor. And then I also worked with Christ Care Training. We worked at that for about 10 years together, training small groups at Emmanuel Lutheran in Valpo. We also did some marriage encounter weekends, helping couples to strengthen their communications. And I added master gardening and tree steward training to my farming and forestry background as growing up. I helped care for the trees at Emmanuel in our 20-acre property, and about 350 trees altogether now that I planted 150 of them. I'm retired because my body is giving out. I still volunteer and work with Lutherans for Life. And whatever else we can do. Glad to be part of your anniversary. Have a blessed anniversary celebration.
God bless you all.
Hi, it's Elizabeth McCauley, Pastor Schneider's oldest daughter, and we're here in Borger, Texas. This is my husband, David, our son, Colt, and our daughter, Brecklin. And we just wanted to wish you congratulations on 175 years of serving God's people. What a wonderful, wonderful blessing. We wish we could be with you all to celebrate, but know that we'll be thinking of you. Congratulations. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Yay, yay.
Happy anniversary, St. Louis Lutheran Church.
Saints of St. Luke, we wish you a happy anniversary. The saints here at St. John Lutheran Church in Lawton, Oklahoma bring you greetings, and we praise the Lord for his great blessings to you and pray many more continued years. God's blessings. Happy anniversary.
We're here.
Yay, we made it all the way from Virginia.
But where is everybody?
Maybe we're a little early?
Maybe we got the wrong date.
Uh-oh.
Well, we're here, so why don't we say it?
Happy anniversary, St. Luke's.
I'm Wayne Fredrickson,
Heather Fredrickson.
and we got to share part of your 175-year journey when we were here in 1991 to 1994. We've been reflecting on a lot of our fond memories from that time in ministry and as a family. One of our fondest involves gardening, which we got to do at the parsonage right across the street.
Big garden, lots of weeds.
That is for sure. Well, I remember one year I was a little impatient because our tomatoes kept staying green and they weren't turning red. When I asked one of our members who was a farmer what I should do about it, he said, just wait. Well, I didn't have to wait long. Those green tomatoes, a day or two later, suddenly they're red. I was so excited I called to Heather, who was in the house.
I came running out, I checked out those tomatoes and started laughing. Someone had tied red tomatoes, beautiful red tomatoes, right onto our tomato plants next to our green tomatoes.
Well, we're not sure who did that, but that story has always reminded us how people can bring blessings into your lives like you had for us, but also how God is always attaching blessings as we journey in faith with him. And that's what we wish for you here at St. Luke's. 175 years, but more to come in the future. May God keep blessing you and keep tying those blessings into your lives and into your ministry here. For now, we'll say goodbye.
Bye, St. Luke's.
Hello, friends and loved ones at St. Luke's in Cabot. I'm Eric Wismar, and I want to share a few reminiscences from my vicarage year back in 2002, 2003. But before I do, we just finished up dinner here at our dining room table, and it's kind of a rare occurrence. We have 5 of the 6 of us home right now. The one who's not with us, we have a photo instead. We tried to FaceTime, but I think he's on duty. So let me do that first, and then I'll share a couple words about our great time with you all. If I could have the phone. All right, so here we have George.
Hello.
George was about what, 4 years old?
Yeah. Quite young.
Yeah. He was,
Yeah,
yep,
preschool.
Yeah, and his brother Kai, who's not here,
He was around at the time, though.
Yep, he was one going on two. He was in the Johnny Jump Up there in the parsonage across the street. George graduated from the Coast Guard Academy last year. Yep, and now he's an ensign. He's in a buoy tender out of Charleston, South Carolina.
Coast Guard Cutter Willow. Yep.
And his brother Kai is going into his junior year. That's called second class at the same academy, at the Coast Guard Academy. This is Luke.
Yeah.
And Luke was born when I took my first call upon graduation and ordination at
2005.
2004. Yeah, at Lutheran Church of
November,
Good Shepherd
yeah.
in New Fairfield. And Luke is really into aviation. He's going to be a senior in high school. He's getting his private pilot's license, and he's had a very busy summer. And there's Miharu, if you remember Miharu.
How are you, everyone?
Yep. And she is now a massage therapist. And I think when I think of Miharu, I'll bring that up when we do the reminiscences. And then over here we have Mia. And Mia also has had an eventful summer. She just finished up with a couple weeks of crew camp. And this is Sadie, who she's holding, who we've had for a couple of years. So I'm going to give the phone back to you, and then and continue. So when I think of St. Luke, I especially think of all of you. We met so many wonderful people, and were so well received. I remember right when we got there in the parsonage across the street, there was food in the kitchen, and various people came in and said hello and greeted us. And on the note of the parsonage, if I could mention the neighbors. So we on the one side we had the Clows, right, Chuck and Pearl, and then on the other side, I don't remember their last name, but there was Big Jeff, Little Jeff, and then the other girls, and that was a very interesting household. George would go over there. We always prayed that he would
memories.
He would come back. They had a very big Rottweiler right next to a trampoline, and
Didn't they have an iguana, maybe?
And they had an iguana.
Yeah,
they had
yeah.
lots of stuff. That was really neat. And then also in terms of the parsonage, share a couple things I remember. One was I've never seen so many ladybugs as the epidemic that was in the garage at one point. And then I remember very clearly waking up one morning. It was very hot, so we had opened up the door to the attic, and we woke up to a bat flying down and doing loop-de-loops over our head, and I had to jump sideways out of the bed and do combat crawl, waiting for the thing to fly back up in the belfry. So those are all great reminiscences. Then down the hill further were the Montags, and we got to be with them for Easter celebration. I remember further down the road, of course, the Easter celebration that began in the cemetery. I remember that well, and it's the only time the only time I've ever preached in a cemetery. That's not true, because I've done many funerals, but not like that. That was early in the morning like that, and then walking to the church. That was really beautiful and very
Sandwork.
Yeah, very unique, right?
Yeah.
Yep, Richie Ambrose sandwork. I remember, of course, going over and visiting all the folks at Concordia, also the many hospitals that were in the greater Pittsburgh area. There were lots of them, and I think I had a chance to visit them all. Another thing that I remember fondly is just the overall vibrancy of the ministry there at St. Luke's. There were quite a few worship services, and that was amazing that I'd get to preach upstairs and then take off my robe and then be downstairs. I know Pastor Barry did that for decades, but that was definitely unique in terms of timing and trying to fit everything in. And then for Miharu, I remember she was in the choir, and also participated in Stephen ministry.
Right.
That was also about the time that the 4x4 ministry started, and that was wonderful. That was a really neat thing to be a part of. It was also the first time that the church went through the 40 Days of Purpose. Rick Warren's book was just out, and Pastor Barry, who was a wonderful mentor to me, we went through that one together with the whole congregation, but then we also went through the Purpose-Driven Church together very thoroughly, and we go out to lunch and kind of talk through the various chapters and the like. And I remember the staff meetings with the John Maxwell leadership. I remember before worship, Joe Klein would bring me a donut, and I asked for orange juice because I was afraid the pace was so quick. I'm a coffee lover, but I'm like, oh, what if it needed to go? And so I thought maybe orange juice wouldn't be quite as pulling on the kidneys. And Joe was very understanding about that and always got me orange juice instead, which was greatly appreciated. I don't know if you did that for anybody else. Usually it was coffee and donuts. And it was wonderful being there. Going out kind of further this way, I remember running around the whole territory because I always loved working out, usually, worked out with weights and whatever else. And these days, really enjoying calisthenics and stuff, trying to stay fit. But at that point, I decided to train for the Pittsburgh Marathon. And so you have the wonderful rails to trails, and I would put various water bottles and Gatorades along the edge. And that's the only marathon I've ever run. I remember it really beat me up. I tried to get a good time, and as a result managed to put myself in the medical tent with an IV in my arm. But fond memories nonetheless. I don't know if anybody else has anything else, but otherwise we celebrate with you on this 175th year anniversary, and we wish you just as many and more in Christ Jesus. God bless.
Yeah.
Hi, we're the Hearth family. I'm Kara.
I'm Jason.
I'm Jack.
I'm Silas.
And our son Carter, who's 23 now, lives in St. Louis. He's been there for about a year. And actually he'll be reporting for basic training for the Army here in just a few weeks.
So we were there from 03 to 2011, and I served with Pastor Barry, among others, Mark Wilt, and the cast of great characters. So it was a real privilege to be able to serve there. Kara has a memory.
So a lot of my favorite memories from being at St. Luke come from living in the parsonage across the street. I can remember looking out the window on Christmas Eve and seeing all of the milk jug lanterns that Rich Ambrose and his nephews had painstakingly put out in different decorations every year. Hearing the church bells when church was starting, whether it was Saturday night or Sunday morning, or looking out the window and seeing the big fire on Easter morning. We just had a lot of great memories from living there across the street.
Served with a lot of great people, that's for sure. From recovery ministries to divorce care to Stephen ministry, serving with the staff, both on the school side and on the church side. Remember Joe Klein in the blue truck, and a lot of the people that lived right next to us, certainly Chuck and Pearl, and a lot of fond memories of a lot of people from Concordia to the area. It was just a real blessing. One of my favorite things, and it's kind of hard to narrow this down because I can remember, so as soon as Kara said something, I could bring up the bat that Joe Klein smacked out of the air for my lovely wife, or I could remember lots of other funny incidents. But one of my favorite memories is so I guess we're covering Christmas and Easter here. So Easter, the early sunrise service that was at the cemetery, to start at St. Luke and then to go down the hill and then to come up to the fire that was raging, and to the songs of people as they were filling the sky, filling the air on Easter morning, to just being able to walk back to the Easter breakfast and the festivities that would happen with that whole weekend, from the egg hunt to everything. It was just a tremendous way to be able to celebrate key times in the church year. So certainly many people that we remember and we were blessed to have in our lives, and that we continue to kind of keep small correspondence with. But just from the Hirth family, thank you so much for all that you guys poured into us and for the time that we were able to share with you in ministry. We really were blessed and continue to be blessed by St. Luke Church and School and its ministry. Happy 175th.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Hello, St. Luke. This is Pastor Matt, or as I'm known here, Pastor Barry. I currently serve here at St. John's Lutheran Church in Chaska, Minnesota as their associate pastor. On behalf of myself, my wife Katie, John, Benjamin, Anna, and Elizabeth, our 4 children, we want to say congratulations. It is such a joy and privilege to be able to celebrate with you 175 years. That's not a small accomplishment. And I think of it not so much in terms of years, but in lives that have been touched over those years. Entire families that have come to know the hope and the love of Jesus Christ in the church and also in the school as well. I was asked to think about a special memory, what makes St. Luke so special, and what I kept on coming back to time and time again were the people. The people were what made my time there so very special. In fact, I was just down in my basement a few days ago when I found this. It was a card that was given to our family as Benjamin was about ready to be born. It was brought around by one of the deaconesses, and she brought it around to all of the St. Luke shut-ins. As I look at the names, I think just about every one of them has passed over into glory. Familiar names like Verna Miller and Elmer and Anna Durr, Lillian Montag, and many, many others. This is perhaps one of the most important memories that I have from my time at St. Luke, because it helps connect me to the people that made that place so important. And it wasn't just the people too, but it was the things that went into making life together so very special. Perhaps my greatest memory over the course of many years was our luminaries that would be every Christmas Eve. It was a joy to be able to, between those busy services, look out and see the design gradually taking shape. And after the last service was concluded and everything was shut off and locked up for the night, I was able to see from my bedroom in the parsonage across the street that design still flickering in the darkness. And of course, on Christmas morning, it was always sort of fun to see which candles were still lit. And there were always a few that were still lit. It's a reminder that Jesus, the light of the world, came into a place that was so filled with darkness to bring light and hope to light. And really, that is the central mission of St. Luke, sharing the gospel of Jesus, bringing light into an increasingly dark world. And my prayer for you is that as he has blessed this 175 years, that he will continue to bless you for many years still yet to come. On behalf of my family, on behalf of those of us here in Chaska, Minnesota, who are your brothers and sisters in faith, we join you in celebrating all that God has done, is doing, and will continue to do for years to come. God bless and take care.